if the client sees something that you don't tell them about, it's all hell on earth. They're like, what is going on? My job's wrong. Do they know what they're doing? They start questioning everything. It's a client. They don't know construction
Yep.
as much as you. Like, to you, it's a simple fix. Yeah, hey, we're going to take care of it. Just get ahead of it. I can't stress that enough. Get ahead of it. Let's jam out because we love it. Welcome to the Top Contractor Podcast, the show that highlights the remarkable individuals who are shaping the construction industry and pushing its boundaries with engaging interviews, expert discussions, and real-world stories of success. I'm your host, Bill Ryman, your broker builder, here with my co-host,
Nate Swank. What's up, Billy?
What's up, Nate?
Billy D.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good to have you. Nighttime here, daytime there. You know, our usual polar opposites. So it's always fun getting together on here. And yeah, we definitely got to figure out more live stuff too here in the future.
We got more live coming. That's for sure.
Yeah, maybe that next meetup, that next TCS meetup, Pittsburgh, we'll make it live. Colorado, we'll definitely make it live.
Make it rain, make it live.
There we go.
Go.
Well, we got some another great topic for you guys. A lot of things going on. Nate and I are hopefully going to have some more interviews coming up. We're just trying to, kind of weed out the bozos. We've been approached quite a bit for people wanting to come on the show, but you really gotta earn it to come on this show, right, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, if you hit us up and you got like 500 followers, I'm sorry, but we're not gonna get you on here.
No, we want heavy hitters. We want the cream of the crop of construction. That's what this show's all about. We want to interview you. So we're going to have some of those coming up. But today we got another topic. Continuing on, we kind of staggered this month a little bit, but we're continuing back into kind of the one topic we started with. So this week we're going with handling conflict resolution, strategies for addressing conflicts that arise due to miscommunication in construction projects. Never happens, right, Nate?
No. Maybe a dozen times a day. Or
Construction's
more.
perfect. No, miscommunication never happens in construction. Now, we're just kidding. We're going to get into this. Before we get started, Nate, what's the show all about?
Yes, sir. So on the TCS podcast, we got 3 different styles of episodes. Number 1 is the construction news. 2 is a deep dive into a specific topic, which we're doing today. And 3 is we bring on an expert in a specific field and interview them on how they can help you, the viewer. No bozos, no shows, only the best. So, Billy, what do we got today?
Oh, man, I'm looking at my screen. I got to get some better lighting up in this office.
Yeah, you look fuzzy right now.
Yeah. Well, that's probably your California internet. The
Yeah.
fuzz. Yeah, but anyway,
What can I say?
Anyway, before we get started today, you guys know the routine. Like, comment, share, subscribe, share with your friends and family. Goes a long way. You guys have been doing a great job on that. 5-star reviews. We've been getting a lot of those, so we appreciate you guys as well. So, Nate, let's dive into this week. As far as addressing conflicts that arise due to miscommunication in construction projects. So what are you doing when there's, miscommunication? Obviously dealing with a project, you're dealing with homeowners now, you're dealing with commercial guys. So you're getting both worlds here. I'm curious with the commercial side and your homeowner side too, but let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, man. And before we get into this, it's important to know when you're handling conflict that, most people have good intentions. So start with that, right? And most people want to succeed. So that's another easy common ground you can come to. Hey, good intentions and you want to succeed. So bring that together, because a lot of miscommunications and conflict are done by the stupidest things. And I could start it by giving an example, okay? One of our employees who's in a foreman position didn't communicate well to another employee who's in a position below him. And finally, I got them to talk to each other. And the foreman said, well, I was kind of timid to talk to you because you always have a kind of a mean face on your, or a mean look on your face. And that guy said, no, it's just how it's just how I look, whatever. He's kind of got like resting bitch face. He's like always like, like he's going to bite your head off. But that's just how he looks. Whether he's happy or sad, that's how he looks. So just because of that one stupid thing, they weren't communicating well because the foreman was always kind of timid to talk to the guy. Silly as hell, right? But that's what this comes down to, is everybody deep down is just trying to be on the same page.
Yeah, 100%. Like one of the things that I always hit on with this topic is, how I always like to look at myself, how I deal with situations and so on too. We deal obviously in the home building world with clients. We're in a relationship with those clients for quite a while, and you have to maintain that relationship, maintain that trust,
Oh,
and
yep. Top contractor. Let's go, folks.
that one slipped, huh?
No, I let it rip. That's trademarked.
Yeah, there we go. Anyway, back to what I was saying.
Sorry, yeah, I interrupted you. Sorry, go ahead. That was
You're
rude.
good, man. What I like to do when there is conflict is I like to just deal with it head on, man. I think a lot of contractors, their biggest issues are they're worried about the outcome. They're worried about the conflict that can happen. They overthink the outcome of what could happen too. I used to do it. I've been there. Plenty of times where, when I was first started doing what I do, I'd delay it. I'd wait a couple days. I'd be like, yeah, I'll get to it a couple days from now, that it can wait. And then when I get to it, I just stress right away going into the conversation. You're already thinking of a negative outcome. So usually a negative outcome happens, right? So, how I usually deal with it now, the best way to deal with a problem that happens, is just go head on, contact them right away, tell them what's going on, and tell them the steps that you're going to take to fix it, too. Or if it's a price increase, which I've been dealing with quite a bit the last year, just because due to supply chain and everything rising. I call them. I have the bid in front of me. I say, hey, this is where the bid's at. This is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to try and get this number down. I just want you to be aware it's gone up this much. And this is what I'm going to do for you. So once again, getting a step ahead of the conversation, earning trust right there too, because they're like, okay, wow, you're going to work for me. Obviously the price went up, but you're going to make an effort to get the price down. I'm not just saying, hey, price is what it is, price went up. So I had another situation going back into personal things that happened. We had a staircase issue on a customer's house. It was our mess up, and my brother, it kind of slipped through the cracks, went to my brother, and my brother signed off on it without myself or our selections coordinator seeing it first. It was the wrong material that was selected, so it was a $5,000 mistake.
Yeah.
So
That
what did
that
we
mistake began when you didn't hire Swinks for your steel railing. So hey, no.
Yeah, Swinks would have double checked with us, but
And
this
double
contract,
charged.
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But no, I mean, how we addressed it though, it was our mistake. I called the customer that day after the mistake happened. I said, hey, we made a mistake on our end. We got to expedite this to get the right color. This is what happened. I explained the whole situation, and we're going to take care of it too. So you can also kind of feel them out too and see if they're willing. And I was going to get into this later a little bit, but you can also feel out the client and see if they're willing to kind of split it with you, and see how they react to that. And if not, then you go to the next step, which is you take care of the problem. So that
Yeah.
was one of the things that stuck out to me, like first out of everything you should be doing with conflicts is deal with it head on, because I know there's somebody out there listening, because I did the same exact thing, that you're like, oh man, I just usually let it wait and let it, hopefully it cools off a little bit. It never works that way. It usually gets worse,
Yeah, for
before it
sure,
gets
man.
better.
Yeah,
So,
naturally as humans, right? We run from pain.
yep.
So, but the thing that everyone here listening needs to understand, so listen, take notes on this, if nothing else. Nothing's ever as bad as it seems, and nothing's ever as good as it seems. So, we get in our head, oh, I don't want to have this conversation because of this, and then the guy will fire me, and then this, and then this person will quit, and then this, and it's like, whoa, what the hell's going on? It's like, dude, none of that ever happens, by the way. 99% of the time, it always works out. So nothing's ever as bad as it seems. Nothing is ever as good as it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Just cruise right down the middle. That's where I like to stay. Neutral. So
Keep it neutral. Yeah. No,
unless
I
it
agree, man.
unless it comes to politics, and then I'm straight to the right. No, uh,
These days, everybody should be. But anyway, uh,
whoa.
um, no, and going into the next thing too, man, is what I was going to say too. Is also you can train your employees to deal with conflict too. But as far as your employees doing it, they should be able to do it to an extent as well. And reason I say this is because we hired a warranty specialist, warranty administrator, whatever you want to call the position, and she's great at what she does, but there's some situations that she can't necessarily make the call because it involves money or whatever, where she's come to me and been like, hey, I'm thinking we should go this direction because this subcontractor won't answer and won't fix this, blah, blah, blah. And usually we both work together on it. And I say, well, did you call this person? In which this happened the other day. And she goes, well, I called him first, but he never got. I go, well, call him again. He's usually very good at what about getting back to you. Maybe he was on vacation at that time. Give him a call. Guarantee he'll fix the problem. So that's what she did. She came in. She said, yeah, it worked. He's going to deliver the part, blah, blah, blah at this point. But
Nice.
give your subs a little leeway, or give your employees a little leeway too, like for certain situations, to where you don't always have to micromanage them too, to where it's a discussion that needs to be had. Let's put it that way. Like, you need to set the expectation with the employee of the extent that they can go. Like, we had something today where I have a contract item on insurance renewal with a client that his house is taking a lot longer than we expected because of him not making certain
I know this
selections.
guy.
Yes, Nate saw this house. So his insurance is up for renewal, which if we would have been on track on the house, we wouldn't be in this situation. The house should be almost done, but it's not even close. And he started arguing with us on the insurance end, saying we should pay for it. So right there, my employee was like, no, according to your contract, it says this, you need to pay for it, and we need to have this done by this day. So right there's giving her the leverage to stand up for herself because she has the legal facts in front of her too. And then she came to me and told me what she said and did too. But I'm just saying, like, the more leverage you can give them leverage, but it's working together with your employees to solve those situations too, setting that expectation. Nate, what do you got on that?
Yeah, for sure. I think handling conflict should be embedded in your culture, right? It should
Mm-hmm.
be what you do, you know? And I make sure that, I said it a lot last year. I don't know if I've said it too much yet. So I'm going to start driving that home every week, you know, saying the same thing to the same people, not saying new things to the same people, right? Make sure that they understand what the heck you're trying to drive home. So yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely need to push that harder. But yeah, everybody should understand that you don't avoid conflict, and that's part of the culture.
You don't want to make contact. No.
I want to avoid that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely. No, man, but
so,
it going into that a little bit though too. Like, I have a situation. Yeah, I gave my employee the leverage to be able to try and deal with it, and sometimes it gets to a point where they can't. Right. So, like tomorrow, for example, I have a meeting at 11 o'clock with my warranty girl, and then also our slider repair guy. Well, the reason she's bringing me into it, the leader of the company, is because it's gotten to such a point where this client is nitpicking the heck out of these doors, saying that the guy that repaired the scratch in the glass made them distorted and blah, blah, blah. Like, just crazy stuff, which they're not distorted. They're not, there's no problems. And she's nitpicking like tiny little things and specs. And Every time I was going to this house, there was blue tape on those doors. But this certain client has been tough. So that's where I need to come in as the leader and be like, listen, this is how it is. This is how it's going to go moving forward. We're not going to keep coming back here and grinding down your glass till it's nothing, to where you can see, perfectly through it, because there's no glass there. Um, because that's the point it's going to get to. Here's what we're going to do for the rest of it, and that's it. And then we move on. There's other situations she wants me to look at. There was an AC vent at one point that had some condensation on it one time. Hasn't had it on there since. I think it's because humidity got in the house. Probably a door was open. But this certain client, once she hears something wrong, she will not let it go until somebody does something. So that's where I need to come in and be like, listen, it's fine. This is the way it is. This is how it's going to be. So as the leader, sometimes you have to go with your employees too, because they're not always going to be able to handle the situation. But that's what you got to do as a leader. I mean, you got to do all different tasks with everybody and help out everybody. So that's one thing to kind of think about as well.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and with handling conflict too, make sure that you have it all planned out in your head, right? Which direction do you want the conversation to go? And then match that person's tone.
Mm-hmm.
If they're loud, then don't be louder than them. Don't just be a little quieter than them. If you want them to come down, slowly match their tone and just slowly bring them down, bring them down, bring them down. But you want them to know, like, hey, let's say this lady's pissed off about the windows. Get pissed off about the windows too. And then get her to your level, or sorry, you get to her level and then bring her down to where you want her to go. Maybe this lady sounds a little crazy, so this might not even work on her. But another thing I want to add, conflict stacking. Okay. This is something you won't hear anywhere else. So get that pen and paper out and write this down. What I do is this: when I'm putting off conflict and then I address one thing and there's other things I know I need to address, I'll stack it, right? I'll do this conversation right after that one. I'll go and hit this conversation. Right after that, I'll go handle this conflict, right? Because if you're already in that mode, just stay in it and stack it and knock it all out, right? Otherwise, emotionally, you're going to be in like, oh, I got to go have this hard conversation with this person. And then you're going to go through that same emotion in a couple days. You get a little bit of anxiety, like, oh, should I have the conversation? Should I handle the conflict? Just stack it all up. Boom, 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 boom. And then when you're done, boom, you just handled a week's worth of conflict in 2 hours. That's how I like to do it. And obviously handle it as it comes up. Don't procrastinate and put it off. But we all know when we're handling one issue, there's other lingering issues. So when you're done handling that one, stack them up and knock them all out. End that day with a clean slate. You know what I'm saying? So
one thing I was going to get into, kind of what you said there too, is sometimes you have to be stern with them too, and you have to reset the expectation. You have to go back and kind of say, hey, this is what we originally talked about from the beginning. This was the deal,
yeah,
and going off of personal experience too. Once again, I've had clients where at the beginning they're like, oh yeah, we'd like to get other bids, this and that. I said, no, if you're building with us, you're going to use our subcontractors. That's the reason you're building with us. That's what our contract says too.
yep,
We're not going to have our contract say, oh, you can use our license and choose whatever subs you want to use. That's not how this works. So sometimes you have to rephrase that to them throughout the process, which I just had that happen with a client that kept, my the girl that does our selections just kept really making her go for a loop, man. It was just nonstop, like running in circles, saying, hey, you need to look at this, or hey, can you check with this sub, or can you try quoting another subcontractor? And it was just nonstop. Hey, can we get a quote from here? Hey, can we look at Home Depot? Hey, can we go this direction? And
yeah,
finally it got to the point where I said, all right, I'm going to send them an email just so it's in writing and reiterate who we are and why he chose to build with us. And emails can come off in a stern way, depending how you put them. I mean, you're not putting smiley face emojis everywhere, so more than likely it's going to come off in a freaking stern way. So that's how it went. He didn't like it. His response was like at 10 o'clock at night. Probably had a few, cocktails to come back with his response, saying he was disappointed in my response to him. And he said a lot of snarky stuff in it to me, blah, blah, blah. So I took the high road, basically wrote him back, responded to all his little smart remarks to me in a nice way, and reiterated what I said in the original email, saying this is why I said it, because you signed up with us, you're going to use our subcontractors, and that is it. So then the discussion kind of stopped. The guy stopped making my girl go in circles as far as the selection side of things. And we're good. We're good now. We got a meeting with them this upcoming week to finalize some selections that we have. And like I said, you have to be stern sometimes, because clients they'll run you. They'll run you until you put your foot down. And there's ways to do it, though. But always get everything in writing, too. That was going to be one of my next things.
Yeah, and a couple things when dealing with conflict, right? It's always best to give it a day. Let it sit, right? Like Bill's email here, he's going to respond better to that email after letting it sit for at least some duration of time than he would just, oh, Bobby sent me an email, I'm going to shoot him right back. F that guy. Boom.
Oh, if I would have
No,
responded.
let it sit.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other thing that I do, and I learned this from Keith Jr., is when you are dealing with conflict for communication, or any communication that deals with feelings or anything that you might potentially, someone might get butthurt or whatever from it. You only call or do it in person. You never text it or email it, because you can't tell intention and tone of your voice from text or email, and things can get misconstrued and get taken the wrong way. Another thing, I was over here looking at my bookshelf trying to find this book so I could show everybody the cover, but it's called The Road Less Stupid by R.J. Cunningham. And it's an amazing book, and it has some things about what you're saying on how to address certain conflicts, right? Maybe unmet expectations. And one of the phrases that he uses in that, when having an unmet expectation or misalignment conversation, is he starts with an apology. So it'd go like this, and this is going to, if you guys use this, it's big. I use it as a system. So it'd be like, hey, Bill, I think I owe you an apology. Apparently, as your contractor, I failed to clearly communicate and read through the contract with you where it states that we supply all the subcontractors. For that, I'm sorry. Let me go through that with you. Here's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So now you let them take the high road, and then you kind of roll into, help me understand why we're not on the same page, or help me understand why you want to use your own subcontractors. Where are we missing the mark that you would even want to do that? Or is it up to your belief, right? Do you believe that you're going to get better service somewhere else, right? So it's like, help me understand, or first it's apology, help me understand, and then belief. Boom. At the end, you end it with the belief. What's your belief on the subject? And then you cap the belief part with, well, I'm glad that's what you believe. I'm glad that you believe that we are your go-to, and it's not worth saving a couple bucks in dealing with somebody subpar. Because if that was your belief, then I would be worried about this relationship, Bill, and maybe you should go find another builder. You know what I mean? So it's a real cordial conversation. Got 4 steps there. It's highlighted out in his book. And I use that because it's structured. So I just take that and I plug it into different conversations. So I have a system. That way there's no emotions in the way, because I just hit my points and I hit my system, and that's it. So
Nate and I giving you guys some fire today, so hopefully you guys are taking
yeah,
some notes
baby.
on this one, man.
Yeah. I didn't even prep for this call. I'm just killing it.
Now you got the energy, man. We got to stop doing those morning calls.
Oh, I've had 2 of these, so I'm like, woo.
Yeah, that'll do it too. No, going into what you said, man, like, and I didn't say that on my last explanation with that client, but I did talk to him on the phone, obviously prior
Hey,
to.
you don't need to justify yourself to me. It's
Oh,
okay,
I
Billy.
yeah, you know I definitely talk on the phone, but no, you made a good point though. Is that was another topic we should definitely hit on? Is that you should always either meet in person or definitely make the phone call first and then put the whole explanation in writing in detail as well. Sometimes you have to just go to right to the writing too after you've had those multiple phone calls and it's not getting the point's not getting thrown across. But it is important. I'm a big phone call person. I always have been. I'm a big meet in person type person too. If there's an issue, let's resolve it. Let's meet. Let's not go back and forth on email. But that's huge what you said right there. Uh, Another thing I wanted to kind of talk about was also during the process, during the job, while you're working on, you're actually building the house or you're doing the job too, and something happens that isn't right, fix it instantly. That's my advice on it too. Don't argue about it. If it was wrong, if it was done wrong, the subcontractor did not do the right thing per the plan, per whatever it should be, per the design sheets, whatever, fix it right away. And then, or at least get ahead of it and tell the client you're going to fix it. Don't let the client find it themselves too. That's another thing. If there's an error,
Yep.
you see it, make note of it, take a picture and say, hey, Mr. Johnson, our subcontractor messed this up. Just want to make you aware of it. We're going to fix it. Because
Yeah.
when they
Or if you're a
find it,
sub too, if you're a sub,
yeah,
let your GC know right away.
yep,
I got to
yep,
drive that point home to my team also
yeah,
because it
because
changes the relationship and it changes the perspective of what's going on.
oh yeah, Nate, if you went to me and you were like, "Hey man, we messed this up. I don't like the way we did it. We're going to take it back to the shop. We're going to re-weld this part right here or whatever, get this powder coated again just because it was scratched, dinged up, whatever." Like, you know how much respect I have for that as a GC? Same with the client too. Like, hey, if the client sees something that you don't tell them about, it's all hell on earth. They're like, what is going on? My job's wrong. Do they know what they're doing? They start questioning everything. It's a client. They don't know construction as
Yep.
much as you. Like, to you, it's a simple fix. Yeah, hey, we're going to take care of it. Just get ahead of it. I can't stress that enough. Get ahead of it. And the next thing I was going to talk about too, Nate, is I'm sure you do this, which we touched on, is make sure you're covered and get everything signed off on too. No matter what, make sure that whatever you talk about in person and meetings, make notes of it. We're always constantly taking notes, and then we always follow it up with an email with a confirmation. Whatever selections they make, follow it up with an email with a confirmation saying, yep, that's what I picked. And then whenever the pricing comes, follow it up with an email with a
Yeah, and
confirmation.
let me butt in there because a lot of you guys listening who are contractors are probably thinking, "Well, shit, how I don't even have time to do that. How am I going to do this?"
Yep,
Well, maybe you need more people.
there you
Maybe
go.
you should take some money out of your pocket to hire somebody. Quit thinking short term. Pull your head out of
Mm.
your keister and hire somebody who can help you figure out these systems. And it's a lot of work, dude. Entering this shit, sending emails, all this stuff. It's a ton of work, but it changes the game because it ends up catching things before they become major issues. So it's vital. When you start doing these things, guys, you'll notice your efficiency, everything, your go backs, everything is way less.
Yeah, because clients, another thing, I'll tell a recent thing that just happened. I had a lot of recent things just happen, but we deal with them all. When you got 15 houses being built at once that are big houses, like there's something that's going to happen. And one thing that happened was they didn't like, the pieces they put on the side of tile, on the edge of the tile, they're called schluters. So basically, what they are is they
Schluter.
schluter, yeah.
I got to
So
go take a Schluter.
so what they are is they actually hide the end profile of the tile against the drywall, so on and so on. So you can get them in chrome, different colors, whatever.
Yeah.
Client didn't like them. He saw them. He didn't like them, or he actually picked them out and signed off on them. His wife didn't like them. So
Ooh.
his first thing, and his daughters didn't either. So the first thing that he said was, "Well, I didn't pick that. I didn't want that. I didn't want that since the beginning." Well, a lot of the stuff selected in the past, so he could have just forgot, or he's just saying that he didn't pick it because he doesn't want to pay for it, because he knows how destructive everything's going to be to pull those off, pull the tile off, redo the tile with the edge and everything. It's
Yeah,
going
and
to
then
be a
the
lot of
grout
work.
color won't match
Yeah,
perfectly. So then it's like, I'm like,
it's a
ah.
lot of work, but he tried, he's trying to talk his wife into it. Long story short, he writes us an email saying, he didn't pick it, blah blah blah. We should be responsible. Well, we went back in our emails that we had confirmation from the client signed off on that he agreed to pick those Schluters out. So that's where we covered ourselves because we had it in writing. There's no argument anymore. We said, hey, customer, we have it in writing right here. You did pick these. You confirmed it. We ordered them. We had it signed off on. If we take these off, you're going to have to pay to replace everything. He said,
How
yeah,
I
you're right.
wonder too from your end, Bill, what can you do in your system or process to fix that? Where if I'm a client at any minute, I can go onto your app or whatever and look at all my selections.
You can, so we have the software to implement it. It's just so time consuming, man, to be
Yeah,
honest with you. And going off what you just said, yeah, I don't have the time, but we'd probably have to hire somebody separate to do this,
just to
where they
do
put
that.
each signed off paper. But there's so much paperwork in a luxury home that happens where we have them all on a drive saved to all our signed off documents too, to where, I mean, the easiest way to do it is just to fire it back because we know where it is, right?
Yeah.
Versus uploading it to the software.
Well,
I don't
maybe, yeah.
know.
I mean, maybe the customer wants to be more involved with that. I don't know. Well, I got a
Yeah,
little
I mean
rooster tail action going on here.
no, they get all their selections because we confirm them with them. So through email, they get everything that with pricing and all that too. So they
Yeah.
confirm, they have to sign off on literally everything before we send it through. Like we won't order anything until they sign off and say we're good to go. So it's just how our system is, and we perfected it over the years too. Where I'm not gonna get full detail into it, but it's really good to where we're pretty covered on no matter what happens in these situations too. I had a roof. I had simple thing like a ceiling detail. The guy was complaining, saying somebody dropped the ball. I can't get my ceiling detail. I wanted it like this house. I told you guys that. I had the emails to cover it back to all the way to the design stage saying, hey, we got to do a 412 pitch roof because you want a modern design instead of a 612. The 612 allowed for that ceiling detail because it was a higher pitch ceiling. The 412 won't allow for it. We're going to have to customize the ceiling differently. So I had those details in an email. He wanted the modern look of the house where it was a 412 roof. That's why we had to do what we did, because the pitch was different for that bedroom. So we're still going to do something, but that covered us once again. So we're
Yep.
always putting things in writing to have our butts covered later on and into the future, where I can search my email or we can search our drive and find whatever they were signed off on. So as a contractor, like Nate said, hire somebody that can do that for you because it's worth the investment. Otherwise, you're going to lose money because it's going to be a never-ending fight with the client because they're going to say, "It's she said, he said" type
Yeah, it's
deal.
just
And
too much things to keep track of, man. There's so many details in
yeah,
construction.
yep, exactly. So, next thing I kind of wanted to go into to kind of start wrapping this up is sometimes things happen that aren't totally your fault. Uh, but the customer will, or how did I want to say this? And they say it is, but you got to kind of explain the situation and try and come to a mutual agreement because it's not totally your fault. It's not totally the customer's fault, but there is an expense there. So there's a way to kind of talk with the client and work things out. Usually, when you gain the trust with the client from the beginning, they're going to want to work with you and work things out to where you can both mutual parties can make something happen or agreement or split the cost or whatever. We've had that happen. We've had pavers where they changed stone pavers where they changed color. And it wasn't really our fault that it's a natural stone. It changed color. The humidity drove color out of it. But we wanted to take care of the customer and maintain the relationship. So we worked with our subcontractor too, having a good relationship with your subcontractors to where everybody can work together and come up with a mutual agreement, price wise, fix it wise, whatever, to where everybody in the party is happy. So there's ways to always do that. The more you get experience with it, instead of just saying, no, it's not our problem, that's where you're gonna kind of go downhill, and you're not looking for the long term by doing
Yep.
that. Because I think a lot of contractors do that, where they're like, that's not our problem, that wasn't our fault, I'm not touching that, I'm not paying for that. They get defensive, right? I think a lot of them get
Sound
defensive.
like a bunch of old weenies is what they sound like. I was dealing with one of those guys today, and then I just started joking with him, and it pissed him off even more. The dude is just nobody likes dealing with that. Well, I don't start till 7, and I'm done by 5, and I'm get my coffee, and I don't work on Saturday or Sunday. And it's like, bro, just let's just get the job done. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
some crotchety ass old man. Nobody's making you be here right now. So do your damn job. You know?
Yeah, man. That's like forming good
Get that.
subcontractor relationships for sure. What were you gonna say?
That was it. That was it, man.
Yeah.
Gotta
I
watch
mean,
out for
no,
those
it's
old
like,
contractor guys. They jack up the name, man. They make the trades look bad.
yeah, and then they don't want to do the job efficiently too, or help you out like we were just talking about as well. But like I said, man, it's establishing relationships all the way around, gaining trust with the client too. Um, but it's also too defending your subcontractor. Sometimes situations happen as well where I have to step in and defend the subcontractor because the client is just so nitpicky. It's insanity. We had this happen once again on a driveway. We had it happen where there's chip pavers on the driveway. Some of them barely even see a chip on them. And then some of them, yeah, they need to be replaced, which we always do after the construction job's over. We'll go through, we'll mark them, and we'll pull them out and we'll replace them. And we've been having a lot of issues with pavers in our area recently, just because I think they're making them so fast and they're not letting the cure times that they're supposed to happen, because they're shipping them out so fast that these things are chipping easily. But we still replace them, we still make it right. Well, I met my subcontractor there with the client. This client's an old guy. He's just he's just angry all the time. Nice to me. I've gotten to know him probably because I never put up with his anger. But with subcontractors, he can be intimidating because he'll just tell them right to their face they're full of you know what. And basically, I had to step in and be like, "Hey, this isn't that bad in these areas, these areas he's going to replace, these areas he's going to make better. If you're okay with that, because I've gained the trust of that client, we'll get this done for you right away. But please don't sit here and yell at him, because he's just here to help you." That's the thing. So sometimes you have to defend your subcontractors too, for UGCs out there. Don't let your sub just take all the rap for, the bad rap for everything too. You're there, you're working with them, you have the relationship with the subcontractor too, that you need to step in because you already have more of that trust with the client. So that was one thing I wanted to definitely bring up too. What do you got on that, Nate?
No, dude, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Got it.
Um, I think that's pretty much it, man. We're going on almost 40 minutes now. I think we got a lot of value out of this one. I actually enjoyed doing this one too, because I deal with a lot of this stuff, man. And it's all communication, and it goes back to communication, which is clutch. You got to have good communication with everybody, and things.
Clutch.
Yeah, which
Bruh.
things work out a lot better in your favor for sure. So Nate, what do you got to wrap it up?
I don't know, but I'm seeing that trend. A lot of guys are saying clutch now, and I don't get it. I don't know. I used to ride dirt bikes, motorcycles. Is that the clutch, or what are they? What is clutch?
No, it's clutch, man. It's good.
Hell
I
yeah.
don't know why that's so hard to
What's the edge of the tile called?
Schluter.
Schluter. Let's clutch this Schluter.
That does not sound good, Nate.
Oh man. No, good episode, dude. A lot of value on here. There's still a lot to unpack, like a lot of granular detail, right? How do you train your team on this? How do you get somebody's thought process to change from running away from conflict to dealing with it?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, good episode. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, share, subscribe, send us fan mail, send us free goodies, send us homemade chocolate chip cookies,
Ooh.
protein snacks.
Yeah.
Me and Billy
first
are
form
trying to
snack.
get jacked. So
Yep. Trying to get big over here.
load it up.
Yep. Send them our way. And yeah, with first form, we'd love a sponsorship too for the show. But anyway, we appreciate you guys. Thank you all for listening. You guys know the routine. Like Nate said, like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.